Hello, UPBA YouTube. I'm Galladite74, accompanied by ZayneGoose. Say hello.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
Gotta get it in there.
Of course, of course. Today we're bringing you some very exciting power rankings. We're recording these back to back, so hopefully it's not too scuffed. But this is going to be the single strike power rankings post draft and post grace period transactions. Hope you guys are looking forward to this, and hopefully we stay on track with our thought processes throughout this today. And hope you guys are looking forward to UPBA content on this channel. I don't know about you, but for me, one thing I want to preface this is by saying that I have not really looked at these teams since I initially ranked them, so we'll see how that is.
No, I have every roster memorized, so
Well, that's good. Zayne can carry me then through this. And just to know that even if your team is ranked like last or first, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad or like an unbeatable team. You know what I mean? Like, these rankings are just our opinions, and we use some facts to back it up. But generally, these teams can still be floated around a little bit. So don't take it too, literal.
yeah. And as normal, coach skill wasn't incorporated at all.
Oh, yes, thank you.
I haven't seen like a quarter of these people battle anyway. So
yes, I didn't. I tried my hardest not to take the coach into consideration, though some coaches is a little bit hard to, realistically.
except for Jack, yeah.
Except for
Dead
Jack.
last.
Jack. Without further ado, I guess we wanna start getting into this.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We will start with number 16. If you want to start talking about it first.
Yeah, 16th is Team Knots TV and the Nottingham Forest Curse. This team is hilarious to me. I think it's one of those teams where, I think he just drafted a bunch of stuff he wanted to use, but it's the first three are like very very strong. Kieran Black, Keldeo, Tapu Lele, just very very hard hitters. You got you're already maxing 95 speed with Kieran Black and Lele. And you see Lele. Okay, does he have any synergy with Psychic Train? There's a subtile there. That's about it. So I don't know if there's a specific plan or what he was doing here. He's got a 1-point hippo for sand that he doesn't need. Sand Force Dugtrio, I guess, is gonna run wild. But yeah, so it's just at first glance, it's a very interesting team. His only removal is Talonflame, which is going to be a huge issue.
Yeah.
So things basically just forced to run Boots and Defog every week, unless his opponent happens to have poor hazard options. And yeah, I team's extremely frail. He's got Fur Coat, Persian, and Amoonguss is his defense. So that just seems. I guess Galar Corsola is there too, but this is a very very interesting team.
Yeah. I will do some fourth wall breaking, as I tend to do a lot. This is my week 1 opponent, and I have prepped for this game already. And I will say, frankly, I do think Kieran Black is really built around nicely here, paired with Dugtrio and Talonflame and even Lele. But I think you mentioned already the issue comes in the lack of defog, so I think Kieran's going to be forced to run Boots a lot, and you're forcing your Kieran to be doing certain roles isn't really great when building around that mon. You mentioned the defense is a little bit lackluster. The more I looked at it, it wasn't as bad, but it's still got some glaring holes that you've again already mentioned. And I personally am not the biggest fan of Lele, Kieran, Black together. I know Fairy Dragon, but it's not the greatest Fairy Dragon core that could have been made. It does have some pros to it again, but there are some things that are a little bit to be desired on the squad.
Yeah. Also, just to note, his hazards are Dugtrio, Hippo, and Corsola, which are also all three just
that too
not common. So it's gonna be very easy to get hazards up against him, and without having to worry about him getting them back up, forcing his opponent to defog isn't even really an option. So
yeah, just a lot of just a lot of forced rolls that don't want to be forced into rolls. So. That's that.
He's also just there's not a lot of physical presence on this team outside of Kirim. Like yeah, Doug Trio a little bit, like base 100, and then you have like Kirim Black, but then everything else is special
Right.
or just like a weak physical attacker like Talonflame. So even though it's like not a very bulky team, it's also not like that offensive either. He's got a lot of like low base stat mons hanging around.
That's true. That's true.
But hey, it's Kirim Black, so it's probably just gonna win like 3 or 4 games on its own.
Oh, of course, of course. I'm sure he'll make that work. But
Yeah, for sure.
we can move on to our next team, number 15, which we have here is Shuckle King's team, the OK Rilla Boomers. I guess I could start talking about this a bit. Looking at it just at first glance, I'm actually shocked that we ranked it this low, just because Sol Galeo, Lando T, Slowking Kiss seems like a really good core, and I think it is, personally. For me, what fell forward on this team a little bit was the kind of the issue with last team. I feel like Togekiss is extremely pressured on this team to fill a lot of roles. The defensive, like, fighting switching, I guess Slowking and Land... Oh, and maybe not that. It's a defogger, right? That's, like, your only defogger.
Yeah, Landorus doesn't really count.
Yeah, there was a lot of certain types, and I don't remember them off the top of my head. That, again, Kiss just it has to be the switching for.
Yep.
That was, like, the big thing I saw here. And the other thing I saw, and I have it in my notes, is this team is apparently Bolt Beam weak. Is that true?
I mean, most teams are.
Most teams are, but I think this team suffered from it quite a bit. Yeah, this team looks very Bolt Beam weak the more I look at it now.
Does Sokoleo get like Morning Sun or something?
It does.
Okay, that kind of counts.
It does, but I don't think you would want your Solgaleo to be the Spadef switching every week on a team like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's the classic, like, yeah, you just, if you have like a good like freeze dry user, this team just like runs out of switch-ins immediately.
The low tiers are kind of just there. Sock and Rapidash, Barbarica, like, they're all cool mons, but I don't really see them coming too often.
I kind of see what you're saying. It's one of those teams where you look at all the mons, you're like, oh, these are all like pretty good, and then like when you try to like break down the individual strengths of the team and the cohesion, it's just like it just has a bunch of good mons. Like, so I think that's just where the team falls a little bit short. Just like you said, like Togekiss is kind of like the backbone of being the defogger,
right,
and all that. But like, I don't know, it's Wi-Fi. I mean,
that is true.
Dude's probably just and a Shuckle King dude's probably just gonna like
we are talking about time. We are talking about Shuckle King. He's a very very talented coach, and I'm sure he'll prove us wrong in like the top 3. Let's be real.
Absolutely.
But this was also the very very first team I ranked, so it's been a bit since I've looked at this.
Yeah, I feel like it's there's probably some sort of weird bias over time where it's like you either get like more lenient or more harsh.
Right.
So we probably started pretty harsh.
Yep. But that's our number 15. You can take the role for next one.
Yep. All right. So next up is JB Westside and the Las Vegas Cinderaces.
That's 14 on your list.
Whatever.
Oh. Pog. Okay.
Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, I did it. I did it wrong. Great. Edit this out. Just kidding.
Oh, great. That was 14.
I was looking at the wrong thing. And 14th is the Townsville Tyranitar coached by Razorclaw.
Yes.
I'm literate again.
Oh, good.
So he's got some stuff going on here. Another like bunched up speed tier team. So you got like Darm, Celebi, Ninetales, and Zoroark. He's got like 4 mons, all within like 10. I guess that's not that bad. But he's got Naga AG, which seems like a very good combination. Classic like Dragon Steel pair up. He's got a couple of good like monotype mons. He's got Melodic, Darm, Zoroark. Look at my actual like rankings on this team. Another horrible removal team.
That's
his removal is Hitmontop. But I guess like he's not too worried about ghost types. But trying to run like Darmanitan, Ninetales, like Vika. You're gonna run into issues if you can't remove. And Hitmontop's not really that good. It's kind of a fun mon, but
right.
I think that's one of the big drags. And then it's another team that's really not that like defensive. You're like Melodic, Celebi, is like your active recovery like defense, and then you can get Veil up, Bukavolt can roost, but Melodic's gonna be just like coming every week, going max defense, Marvel scale, whatever, and probably gonna run into more like bolt beam weaknesses here.
Right. You mentioned the big thing about the hazards. This is a really hazard, like, and removal is just not great on this team, and I think it definitely makes it more prevalent when you have Darmanitan, Vikavolt, Aluminum Ninetales, and Naganadel, all these mons that don't want to be taking hazards chip. It really hurts a team like this particularly. And one other note, because you basically hit the nail on the head here, is that what I noticed with this team is that it's very special oriented. I feel like Aegislash might be forced to be physical more than all, and then that just leaves Darmanitan, which Darmanitan's cool, but I think if that alone is your physical offense, that's not really a good sign. That being said, this is our Season 3 and current defending champion, so, again, really talented coach, and I'm sure he can
good.
make this work. Yeah, it's just, not
yeah.
the greatest.
I do like Ninetales with like Aegislash, Veil for like a weakness policy set, or for Naga to be able to take hits and start boosting. I think the webs on this team is kind of weird. Like Web's Darm is cool, like it could be nice with Naga to get this special attack boost, but I don't see a ton of like need for the webs here.
Yeah, I think he's got some good late game options like you said, but just getting there might be a little bit of a challenge without losing his whole team, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's all I really have to say about Razor's team. Next, I guess we can move on to number 13, which we both actually agreed on here for being number 13.
Ooh.
This is Svendun's team and his Stockholm City Kinglers. Oh my god, there's a mag on this team.
Yeah. See, the problem with this is like it's a real league, so every coach is like good. So none of these teams are actually bad, but we have to like justify them being all the way down in like 13th, even though like any one of these teams could probably like, with a good coach can win.
That's true. Yeah, Mag Kirim is super strong. Well, I guess I'll start with pros here. Yeah, Mag Kirim I think is amazing, straight up. Good, a pretty decent defensive core in terms of taking hits like Swampert and Arcanine, and Weezing, and even the Gallisopod to some extent. Those are some good things about this team. One of the big issues, I feel like a broken record at this point. Removal is really bad, and I know boots exist, but again, if you force something like Kirim into running boots every week, Gallisopod, which is low-key a nice mon, forcing those things into boots, even Arcanine, that's not really a good thing.
Yeah. My big plus on this team is his offense is like actually insane. Like his average attack stat is 109.
That's
this team has
crazy.
like just like even his like Conqueror, Swampert, Arcanine, they're all bulky, but they all just pack a huge punch. I mean, even decision-wise, sitting here over base 100 attack. So he's got like, there's not a lot of active defense on this team, which is something I look for. Like Arcanine can actually recover, but then like Conqueror is trying to drain punch. Swampert's just running leftovers. Gallisopod's kind of bulky, so he's, the active recovery on this team isn't amazing. There's no wish pass that I'm aware of.
Nope.
No, executor wish pass doesn't count.
Okay.
But yeah, so like extremely potent offense. The speed tiers are kind of non-existent. Does Mag get Trick Room itself?
I don't know, and that was a talking point I had also on my notes that this team's speed tiers are not amazing.
His fastest mon is Boltund, which doesn't, and then everything else is below base 100. So that's going to be a huge sore spot. Something just gets up like a Dragon Dance or whatever. It's like, what do you do?
Right. One other note I wanted to say, even though Mag Kirim offensively I think is amazing, and this team really thrives with it offensively, defensively them together isn't like a 10 out of 10. For example, the fire weakness that Mag has is not counteracted by Kirim fully, and besides Arcanine and Swampert, which is granted is a good defensive core, I'll give him that, but if Arcanine and Swampert like get chipped throughout a battle, which they can tend to do, this team I think just gets literally obliterated by any fire attack, which I think is very scary.
Yeah, at first glance for me, it's a team that's very weak to fighting and knockoff.
Fighting was
Yeah, like every fighting type of the game pretty much gets knockoff now. So like when your switch-ins to fighting types are weak to dark, you don't have a lot going on there.
Right. That just forces Wheezing to come more and more often. And Wheezing's cool, but every week Wheezing's a little sus. Again, not a bad team.
Oh no.
Again, Sven's really good. I feel like I'm gonna say this after every coach. But
I know. I feel bad like roasting a team and then being like, oh, but this guy's good, and the team's really not that bad.
Yeah, like these teams really, even though this is 13th, it's still really solid overall. But yeah, that's number 13. We can get to the act where JB Westside's actually placed when we combine our rankings now.
Yeah. So yeah, you had him. Not that our individual rankings are but you had him 10th, item 14th, so he did average to 12th.
Yes.
Just fine. So this is like a spooky team. It's another one of those teams you'll get the first like 4 or 5 mons and you go like, oh lord, what do I do? Like Reshiram, Clefable, Jirachi is just like, that's just bulk and offense and annoyance all combined into one, and then you have nice like Rillaboom, Suicune. And then I think after that the team falls off. Drapion is nice. He's got like Unburden to go with Rillaboom, but Hitmonlee and Drifloon are kind of like goofy. Then Raichu, Sandslash. I think my actual like problems with the team was the speed tiers and removal. I think those are just like big things in the team. You're kind of relying on like Rapid Spin, Hitmonlee, and Sandslash, I guess, because Reshiram doesn't want to run Defog too often. Drifloon's not going to Defog.
Right. And again, and just on teams with like, when your best mon is weak to rocks, you might want to prioritize removal a little bit more just to not force it into boots every week. So yeah. Same deal with this team.
The speed tier issue isn't as bad as Sven's, I think, but you have Raichu as your fastest mon. How often is that coming? And then after that, it's base 100 and below. So you're running into the same issue. Something gets a Dragon Dance off, and you know if it has the coverage for your team, you just kind of get ran over.
Yeah, I agree with that. One more note, and it's not like a positive or a negative, it's more of like a neutral note than anything, is that I really feel like Clefable and Jirachi are forced to interchange roles a bit, meaning that every week one of them is always a rocker and one of them's always a pivot, and it just depends on which one's better. That's not terrible, right? Because unlike the past few teams, bringing Jirachi and Clefable every week isn't a bad thing because they're good mods.
That probably just happens anyways.
But them still being forced into these roles every week, because if you don't have that, then this team definitely suffers a bit. Like there's no great pivot after that. So, which if you want a good pivot to get Reshiram in a lot more. Which I mean, this team's got a Reshiram. Let's look at that for a sec. But,
I guess my last concern with this team, which just keeps it a little bit lower, is that like the base offense isn't really there. I mean, obviously you have Reshiram, sure, like you can't switch into that, but after that it's like you have Rillaboom, very easy mon to wall with like a flying type, and then you have kind of like Hitmonlee with high attack, and everything else is just
setup or something.
Yeah, you need setup, which can be good. I have like a category for setup that makes up for not having a ton of pure offense, but I think like this team is going to be relying on like Clefable and Jirachi to be like really bulky, and then hopefully set up with something or just like win with Reshiram. And you want to have more than one win con on a team.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. But I also don't know how to like rank like this format with like pseudo Ubers, because like in one way, like like these teams with a Reshiram or Magearna, like that mon can just win you like probably like a quarter of your games just by existing. So I feel like times I'm trying to look like from like a stats and a team cohesion perspective, but like at the end of the day, just like if you were good high up in the draft or happened to pick one of these like super busted mons, that probably should count towards something.
Right. All right, well that's number 12. We are 20 minutes in and we have 5 teams done, so we're easy. Next, we'll go to another pick we both agreed on. We both had 11th. Is Ellie's Shanghai Dragons, not Dragapults. And this is the Pheromosa team. What do you think about this team?
I like Pheromosa in concept. I've never used it, but every time I see like a league with like, oh, like we have S tiers, I'm watching like a playoff battle and there's Pheromosa. So I think the thing's like really good. It's for me, it's an Uber, and this is also like a very Ellie team. I think she drafted to her strengths. Like Zapdos, Slowking, Galar is obnoxious. T-Tar, there's no synergy with it here, but who cares? It's T-Tar. It's a good mana in it of itself. I think this team's lacking offense a little bit.
I agree.
And there's not a ton. There's not. Oh, I have like there's like no like priority or scarfers on this team. Like
also
I mean, you're running Scarf Ditto, which is like very nice, and then after that, it's just like I don't know. Like I always like look at teams like if something like sets up on you, how do you revenge it? Right? Can you revenge it with priority or a Scarfer or maybe even phasing? And then this is just one of those teams where it's like she doesn't have that. So yeah, I've mentioned it a few times now, and that's why some of these teams get ranked lower. But like if something Dragon Dances against you, like, you have Ditto, but like you can't always rely on that. And after that, it's just like okay, well nothing outspeeds it, and nothing is a good Scarf option.
Yeah,
that's going to cause issues.
That's a really good point. I personally love the defense on this team, but at the
defense is insane.
The double-edged sword, because again, it might be prone to setup sometimes, which you've already mentioned. That puts a lot of reliance on Ditto or Comfey maybe, if Draining Kiss is a viable option in that case, but you know, not always. Offense is a little bit lacking, like you said, and this other point I mentioned that I want to mention, which you already kind of brought up, was that there's no Scarfer. And that's because the speed tiers here go from like 100 to 70, which is really not great, to be honest. So that could be definitely an issue you already mentioned.
Yeah, I did give this team the highest defense score like in the league.
Yeah,
because it's just that bad.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. What else did I have? I have as a note here that Pheromosa might be forced into being special more. Does that look right? That might be false actually. The more
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like her only offense, so
yeah,
forced.
T-Tar, yeah. Which I actually, even though T-Tar doesn't like provide much team support, I think it as a mon on this team is really solid. Actually, I will give her that.
Yeah, this is a team that's tough to bring a fighting type against this team.
Yes.
You have Comfey, Slowking, Galar, Zapdos. So if you're bringing your fighting type, you're gonna have issues, and it's gonna give T-Tar a lot of like room to exist.
Yes. But that's all I really had for this team. So
yep,
we'll move on. Next we have 10th. This is Zane's 8th pick and my 12th. This is Fox's Dutch Dewpider. Let me go pull him up real quick and look at his team again.
I think I even might have compromised on this team a little bit because I think I like this team a lot.
Okay, I remember this team now. Oh, Mandibuzz at Volk and Darm G. Okay. I don't know if I wrote.
Yeah, the main negative thing I had to say about this team is I think his hazard options are bad. It's Lando and Stacka.
That's pretty bad.
Neither of which really want to run it. They want to run offense, Trick Room stuff. Stacka isn't that terrible of like a bulky guy. It doesn't necessarily have to run the Trick Room set.
That's true.
And then there wasn't much setup on this team apparently. You have Lando.
There's like
a belly drum Darm, like a Howl, Zama, some built-in setup and Stacka. This team doesn't have a lot of like setup, so if you need to break and he might not be able to basically, but he can also just because he has the Darm and the Lando. So it's kind of like it's one of those things where it doesn't really need to set up anyways.
And see, he does have a lot of good initial power, yeah. But I think that also comes with that this looks like a very pivot-heavy defense, like Mandibuzz P2, like to just kind of come in, take a hit, and get out, and forcing your opponent to switch around a lot. And I think that's where not having hazards kind of sucks.
That is true.
So there's that. But if he can get the ball rolling and maybe he doesn't in matchups where he won't need hazards, then it will be pretty nice. Again, this team is still pretty good, all things considered.
I think that it's something. I think the issue is it's very one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know exactly what Zama is doing. Pretty much Darm. You know, like Lando only has so much coverage, and then you have like defensive Mandy, defensive P2, Stacka. Like all these mons, like you kind of know their movesets going into the game.
Right.
But they're all like good at what they do. So it's a very like distinct team. Yeah. So that could be good or bad.
Oh my god, I keep cutting you off. I'm so sorry.
That's all good.
Yeah, so unlike like Team Knots where earlier we were like Talonflame's forced to be a defogger, which you don't want it to be doing. This team, it doesn't really mind it as much. So
yeah.
hence why it's a bit higher. A bit physical heavy up top, but could be worse. Like, Volcanion exists. Lando can be special still. Something else I noticed.
Lando's usually going special for the sheer force, right?
Right, yeah. So, there's that.
Yeah, like it's a very, like, it's almost like predictable, but sometimes with a Darmanitan and a Lando, it doesn't matter if you know what they're clicking. You don't have a switch in.
Right. But that's all I have to really say about Fox's team. Next, we'll move on to our next one, which is number 9, and is going to be the Birmingham Spritzy, which is 1Z. We both had him at number 9, so cool. Look at us go.
Congrats, you're middle of the pack, baby.
Yes. You can go first with this one.
Okay. So for 1Z, broken record, and this will probably start going away with the higher up teams. Hazards and removal were both lackluster here. Thunderous and Claydol as your removal, like, they can do it, but Thunderous doesn't always want to run defog, and Claydol's kind of bad. And then Claydol, Lycanroc, and Wigglytuff are his rockers, so like it's kind of like he forces low tiers into those roles. So just by default, like, that aspect of the game, he's just gonna be ignoring a lot of the time. Fortunately, he's not too like rock weak or like hazards weak. Although, you know, spikes would be a huge issue for him to deal with outside of Claydol, and Claydol is very easy to take advantage of. But positives about the team, I think his features are okay. He's got some decent offense. He's got like the most setup of all time.
True.
So he's got Jetstack to set up, Zygarde, Blacephalon, Thunderous. Basically every mon on his team besides like Vape can set up in some way. So like it's one of those teams where if he can get that setup ball rolling, he has a lot of options to just run teams over. And he's a nice like solid defensive core, like Vaporeon for wish support. For his other mons can be nice. I like Galar a lot. It's just kind of like I think this team exactly goes into like 8th or 9th. It's just like it kind of like it does everything just a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is one of the best ranked teams we had here. I think you already mentioned it. It's literally written in my notes as well that I think Claydol is extremely pressured to do like everything defensively here, which I don't like. I think the defense is very pressured into doing its particular role. That's the negative I had about it. The positive I had about it, which you have not mentioned, is unlike JB's wasn't bad, but I think Grassy Terrain is really good on this team. He actually has a really good ground type that actually likes grassy terrain support. Bulu's like kind of a whatever mon, but it's, you know, it can still fit on this team pretty well. And I think Zygarde is supported very well on a team like this. And I know people joke around like Zygarde's bad and whatever, it's not it anymore, but with team support like this, I can definitely see Zygarde running through some teams, which is a big plus for this squad here.
Yeah, Zygarde's one of those mons where it's like I hate to like play against it and prep for it, and like I've had it like ruin me, but like, at the same time, like the couple times I've used it, I'm like, yeah, this mon's whatever. But like, I still respect it in the build, but it's not for me. That's for sure.
I understand that, but yeah, it's just one of those builds where you have to respect Zygarde. You can't ignore it on this team, which I like.
But honestly, knowing Onesie, he's gonna love bringing Claydol every week.
Yeah, I mean, if he likes it, then it fits to his strength, and that's good on him. But that's 1Z Vanette. Next, we're gonna reach our halfway point, I guess, which is cool. Number 8. This is Q. How you doing? Have kids? And this is the Chicago Dragapults.
Ham sandwich or something, right?
Hammy sandwich. Yeah, he's got the mascot pick. He's got Dragapult on this team, which is pretty cool.
That's like a free like plus like 2 in ranking for drafting the mascot.
Yeah, probably should have moved up a bit. But for this team, he's got Dragapult. He's got his second mascot, Mamoswine, because I feel like he drafts that a lot at this point. He's also got Celesteela and Sylveon, which is I think a really strong starting 4. And then his team, he's got a few other mons in the lower tiers as well. Let me go. Did I write notes for this team? I stopped writing notes near the end of this. Let's be real. Where is Q? Oh, here he is. A good thing about this team, his momentum is very, very good. You want momentum on a team with stuff like Mamo, Pult, even Sylveon and Celesteela. Getting those mons in for free is super, super nice for him. And I think that's going to play to his strengths because I know he likes to play in that play style. Negative I want to mention is broken record. We keep saying it. Hazards. His removal's okay. His
Wait,
rocker,
you think his hazards is a negative?
his rocker is Mammoth
Oh, okay.
Swine.
Yeah.
He's got Garbodor, which is a decent like hazard mon, but I don't think you would want to be forced to be bringing Garbodor every week. And that's it basically.
Tell it to Razor.
Yeah, unless you're Razor. But I'm personally not a big fan of that, and on a team that really likes to maintain momentum and force a lot of switches, that's not the greatest.
Yeah.
But and his S tier's Dragapult. It's a hot take. I'm not really a big fan of that, but again, it's built around well, so that's what I have to say about his team.
Yeah, I kind of had like a little bit different issue. So this is a team. Speed tiers are weird. You have Polt and Lisk. Everything else is slow.
Yeah.
And then he does have like webs for speed control and all that. And then I didn't like his just like pure offense that much. So there's another thing I just look out for is that Sylveon is his like best special attacker. Which is like nice, but like Sylveon's gonna be running a bulky roll a lot of the time, and so then it's just gonna be hitting decently hard. And then you have like Mamo and Polt. Like everything else is like gonna be like usually bulky, like Starmina and Incineroar have like huge attack stats, but they don't use them that much. So this is another team where it's like Mamo is gonna be breaking, and like he doesn't have a lot of just breaking here.
What I wrote down for this, and it kind of ties into that, is I personally think he has the potential to have some good breaking options, but if he does do that, that means he misses out on something. So again, his rocker is Mammoth Swine, so you don't get rocks.
Yeah, he can't band it.
Sylveon, you can't run the defensive Sylveon if you go offensive. So yeah. I understand your point there. And
yeah, but another team with awesome setup. You have Polt, you have Smash Toys if you need it. You have like Calm Mind users and all that.
Sully,
so, like,
yeah,
it makes up for it.
Yeah, that's Q's team. We'll see how he does with it this season.
The site puts up the record, and I say, overall record 18-8 plus 37. I'm like, okay, well, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Next, we have arguably our biggest difference, and of course, it's the commissioner of the league. Why wouldn't it be? It's Gray's team.
I tried to tank him into oblivion. You didn't let me.
Yeah. If you want to talk about this one, or do you want me to start with this?
No, you take it over.
All right. The more I look at this, the more I kind of get terrified of this team, to be honest. I had this up at 5th, and Zayne had it at 10th. We're at 7 right now. Urshifu Torn is a very strong core, to be honest, to start. Really good pivot options on defense with the Slowbro, Flygon to a lesser extent, and, well, Diancie doesn't pivot, so maybe I'm a little bit wrong there, but the defense is nice. Good potential late game options again with Urshi. Kartana is very scary late game. Maybe Dragon Dance, Flygon. Even Jolteon, if for whatever reason the ground type doesn't exist. Those are good things. Bad things, hazards. Diancie is a good rocker. Nidoking is also decent, but that's it. And forcing them into the troll each week is not the greatest. So that could be a little bit of an issue here. Other things, do I have anything else? I feel like I should. Bird Spam looks really good against his team, I wrote down, which is true. His team's very weak to flying. Once Diancie is chipped down, then Specs Hurricane kind of almost claims a kill, which is very scary.
Yeah. This seems like good. I think his low tiers are all extremely sus. Jolteon doesn't do a ton this gen. Senna Scorch, easy to wall. Double and Shiinotic basically aren't Pokemon. And I honestly think regular Diancie is like really bad. I've seen it do a lot, but I don't like it, and it's basically forced here. It's his only like special defense. His team has no special defense outside of Diancie and like AV Bro. That's Jack. He'll bring AV Bro all the time, but that's gonna be forced a lot. His first 3, like that, like you don't switch into those bonds, but I think he's just like missing a little bit of extra defense here, and then I think like you said, his removal is a little bit iffy, but another team with just like a ton of setup and just breaking power. So as long as he's able to kind of keep momentum and have force his opponents to not have any switch-ins, or if he can find a way to make like his bottom like 4 actually do anything, he'll be in pretty good shape.
I agree to that. Yeah. I think you said it pretty well. I like Diancie on this team. I personally like Diancie on this team, but again, it's forced into almost like coming every week, which isn't if you want like hazards and stuff, which is and Spadef wall, which isn't great. So there's that. That's Jack. Next we have the New Orleans Noivern, coached by Hayes. So you can talk about this one.
Yeah, let me just find the team. I'm prepared. Okay.
Ooh, I have no notes.
So Giratina Origin actually shouldn't even be allowed. Way too good. What were they thinking? Yeah, this is like the good this gen team. Like they're a Crocodile, like Starmie are all like these like Gen 8 superstars. And then I guess another team where I'm probably pointing out issues. I had this team pretty high, so this was another. I guess we're up to 6 now.
Yeah, we're at 6 at this point.
Yeah. The main thing is like defense on this team. It's a little bit. Yeah, T-Tran is a great bulky guy. You have Weezing and Licky, and outside of that, it's very offensive team, which is fine because like the offense makes up for the lack of defense. I think the speed tiers on this team are really good. You know, Zero to Starmie to Mian Xiao, a nice like back and forth of special physical attackers, good jumps and speed. There's a lot good about this team. And I think the only other thing is that it doesn't have a lot of setup.
No, yeah, not really.
Even though it kind of like you got some bulk ups. Yeah, Giratina could probably set up. I don't know what it does.
Calm Mind is I think the only real
setup. Meteor being Starmie.
Okay.
But it's a very this is like a choice team. Like you're gonna be running like Scarf Crocodile, Scarf Abandoned Mian Xiao, like Life Orb and stuff. So I don't know. I think overall it's a good team. It's just got a little bit of like I think a defensive hole.
Yeah, this is I don't have many bad things to say about this team. I think it's really solid overall. The only thing I can nitpick with it, because this looks like a team I'd use to be honest, at least close to it.
Yeah.
Is that while his momentum options aren't bad, if he needs to play defensive, I feel like he can kind of get stuck in a hole because none of his defense like pivots around well.
Yeah,
like Licky's kind of hard to pivot around with. Like once like you can get Licky in, but then getting your offense back in seems a little bit tough with this team. Unless you want to take a big hit or you make an aggressive prediction, which that just comes down to gameplay at that point. But that's just nitpicking. Otherwise, this team's just very solid all around. Nothing.
Yeah, this is like the solid top half team.
Right.
And he's got Shelmet.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, put him on. All right, next is the 5th place team. I'm
an idiot.
Yeah, this is a team. This is the Calgary Flamethrowers. I wonder who coaches this team. Well, this is my team, so I guess I'll start with what I think is bad about this team, straight up.
Okay.
I don't like my hazards. Cop Barrage and Chomp are not the greatest, and it's just those two, and I have Webs with Slurpuff, I guess. So that's that. For me, because I'm putting a little more personal oomph into this, because my team. I like the Rotom Wash Valley defensive core, just because good removal and really good pivot options to get my offense in with like Ace, Chomp, Spec. Those are the big points like I want to mention here. What do you think of my team? I want to know your thoughts.
I mean, I had you in 3rd, like you're up there. I mean, the only like thing I kind of docked you on was your defense, because you don't have a lot of like active like Rotom's great Pokemon, Valley's great Pokemon. You basically don't like recover actively. You have like Wish, Slurpuff. Yep. So like this is a team where it's like if you get whittled down, that's where your health is at. So unless you're running like Rest a lot, which like you can, that's a bit of an issue. But I didn't have any issues with your hazards. I think your removal is really good.
Yeah.
Rotom, Silvally are great defog options. And then Court Change Cinderace is just kind of like you can't always, but I think it's fun when you get it off. Is this Libero Cinder?
This is Libero Cinder, yes.
Yeah, you're not gonna lose. And I mean you have Webs if you need it.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any issues there. I think your offense is good. I have you as having synergy. I don't really know. Well, it's because you have Webs and you have still pretty good pivoting.
Yeah, I did try to.
So I was like pivots into Spectrier. You have like Cinderace is kind of like an extra fighting type with high jump kick to help with Spectrier to break dark types. Like you really don't have any issue with dark types. So I think your team's just like built. Like every mon's kind of built around each other a little bit. And then you have this random like ice stuff at the bottom.
Yeah, that was kind of throwing.
It's literally like the two, like besides maybe Auroras, it's literally like the cheapest like hail core you could imagine.
It's kind of there, but it's just there.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. I'm glad.
I think it worked out. Yeah, you have Monzel. I really like Steel Valley. I really like Rotom. I really like Cinderace. I like Copraja. Like depending on if you don't like those mons as much, because I know those are mons that I think differ from person to person. You could rank this team in something like 7th.
Yeah, so that's what
you did.
Yeah, like I did. I'm also a very harsh critique of my own stuff, so like I don't like to put myself at 3rd, but it felt really weird.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. All right, we have 4 teams left, and we're 40 minutes in. That's pretty cool. This next team here is definitely the one I think I looked over the most, and it's another little bit of a bigger difference between us. This is 4th. This is the Forest Green Snovers, Dr. Slacking. I had him at 2nd, and Zayne had him at 6th. So I want to hear your thoughts first, and then I'll say what I have to say. Okay.
So I think this team has some of the best speed tiers I've ever seen. There's not much gap there. Wait, was I high? No, okay. Okay. I don't know why I ranked the speed tier so high. Don't ask me. 130, 115, 195, like 85, 76, whatever. So besides up there, but I don't think there's any mons that can run Adamant or Modest from between Coco and Azelf. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's like a 129 out there. But there's basically no room to like really run Adamant or Modest against this team, which I think is like very useful in building, even if those mons aren't themselves running max speed every week. I think his hazards are fine. His removal's a little lackluster, and his offense is a little bit lackluster. I mean, Nidoqueen is going to be bulky, but you have Sheer Force. Like obviously Victini, even though its stats are just base 100, has V Creator, Blue Flare. I think that's actually fine. Can you hear that?
Barely, if anything.
Okay.
But okay, I guess I can.
You go. I'm losing it.
I think one of my biggest nitpicks with this was the removal. I agree that like with something like Victini on your squad, and we saw this issue a lot with the teams we ranked lower, where they'll have like a Rock Weakmon in their high tiers and have no removal for it, so they're first to run boots. So Teeny might struggle with that in that sense. Maybe I ranked this team a little too high considering its S tiers because he has no S tier. Coco's not an S tier. So that's the thing. Things I really liked about this team though, and there's a lot of them, but there's a lot of good momentum building around this team, both offensively and defensively, so I feel like it's really hard to lose momentum with this team. Despite the fact that Corv is kind of forced into defog, if you don't care about that, then Corv actually is built really well also on this team. I think it was Jack mentioned yesterday that this team looked a bit electric weak, which is somewhat true considering there's terrain, but when I looked at this team, I saw a Nidoqueen and a Komodo, and because
Alolan Raichu shreds this team.
Alolan Raichu does actually destroy this team straight up. Yes, that is one mon though. So
I know.
A lot more electric types than not don't have good coverage to hit Komodo and Nidoqueen. So I feel like if you keep those two around, which I mean, bringing these two almost every week isn't a bad thing. So I think that's plays into his strength there, and I think he's not really locked into running certain sets into certain mons. Again, I mentioned Defog and Corv, I keep mentioning. But besides that, Coco can do a few different things. Teeny can do a few different things. Komodo, depending on the matchup. And having that variety to do things, I think, really plays into Matt's strength as a coach. Which, again, I don't often consider the coach for the team, but there was a little bit of influence in that sense.
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit on he was missing some type. Oh, he doesn't have a grass type, which is kind of awkward.
A little bit, yeah.
He does have a flyer and a levitator, but I think this team's it's kind of missing that. You just click leech sheets or
that is something.
Whatever.
Oh yeah, so outside of core, this team gets EQ'd to death, which is very true.
Yeah, it's a bit of an issue.
So yeah, that's that. But otherwise, I think this team's really good. We have it at 4th.
It's good for sure.
Yeah, that's Matt's team. We're getting to the top 3, the bronze medal. You ready for this one? This is the Philadelphia Fusion Flare, coached by Sneaky Salamander, no crackers. He goes by like 5 different names, so I don't even know.
Yeah, Luca.
Luca.
Dox him real quick.
He does get #1 for like best logo in the league, though. That logo kicks so much ass. But
Very good.
for this team, Blaziken Feeney is just insane core right there. I think it's really good.
Yep.
I think this offense is arguably maybe the best in the whole league. Blaziken, Weavile, Gengar, Diggersby is extremely hard to switch into, if at all. I think they all synergize with each other really well. And Feeney, I think, backs them up really nicely as well from a defensive option. And then on top of Feeney, you also have stuff like Goodra, good Pivotmon and Rotom Mo and Bronzong. I think the defense synergizes well with each other. I think the offense synergizes well with each other. Not many bad things to say about this team. I think the only thing I saw that was bad with this team was that Ghost Spam looks very scary.
No, he's got 2 normal types. He gets a bonus for having every type also. All 16 filled out.
Oh my god, he does.
It doesn't count for a lot, but yeah, I mean, and his flyer is unfested, which is kind of bad, but he does have 2 like levitators. Yeah, I like this team. I think he has really good options for like priority and scarfers. So like Gengar can scarf, Diggersby can scarf for quick attack. We have Weavile with Ice Shard. So he's got a lot of like answers to set up, and just overall just like scary mons.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen. I guess if we're gonna reference PTL, since there's enough overlap over there. The Blaziken Finny core has been drafted 2 seasons in a row. I did jack shit with it, but then Salty did really well with it this season. So we know for a fact that can do a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is another team. Not a lot of active healing. I mean, you have great bulk with Finny, Zong, Goodra. Rotom's kind of the pain split active healer of this team. Everything else is resting or whatever. So it's one of those teams where if you can wear it down, it's not really coming back from that.
I agree. Though I think wearing a team down like this is hard when most of your mons are dead already. So
yeah,
yeah, really good team.
You may
here.
not get the chance.
Yeah, this is really solid. I'm a fan of this one.
Yep. Very good.
We had 2 left. This next one was Zayne's top pick, and this is my 4th. It is Pat Mac and his Sacramento Sandslash. So I guess I can talk about this for a bit first. I don't have any notes written down, to be honest. He's got Double Dragon. He's got Dialga Latios, and then he's got Primarina, Rotom, Heat, Klefki, Roserade. This typing synergy is crazy, and Mudsdale too. Yeah,
well, hey, well. he has like the double Fairy Dragon Steel Core. That's incredible.
Wait, what's his second? Oh, Dialga. Oh my gosh.
He has 2 steals, 2 fairies, 2 dragons. That's hilarious.
That's crazy, and they're all within like the first like 5 picks.
In 4 mons, he has a double core.
Yeah, on paper that sounds weird, but it actually looks really like good on this team. Even though Double Dragon can kind of be either good or really bad depending on how you do it, I think on this team it actually works out pretty well because your other dragon is Dialga. You don't force Dialga into more so roles as much when you have a Latios sitting right there. And then
they don't share any. They don't share any weaknesses. Latios resist ground and fighting, so they actually like pair themselves pretty decently together.
I agree, and they also have the Klefki there too to take a little bit of pressure off that steel typing role. Decent hazards with the Roserade there. The Mudsdale's are always a reliable rocker, and Klefki's got spikes too. Really good pivots with Rotom Heat. Primarina gets flip turn. I know you don't like to run that, but it's still a pivot option regardless.
Yeah, it only needs dual stab half the time anyways.
That is true. What do you have to say about this team?
Yeah, I really like the hazards, and I think removal is reliable on this team. Like Rotom Heat, Klefki can run that pretty easy. So he's got that sorted. It's another like defensively weak team a little bit. He's got some built-in bulk on a lot of these mons, but none of them are just like pure like, oh, I can't break this, you know. Like Prim can run bulky, Rotom's running bulky, Klefki, Roserade, Mudsdale, they're all like bulky mons, but they're not just like, oh no, I'm getting walled. So it's definitely just a more offensively potent team.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of got it covered. I think the offense on this team is like super good. Just the special attack stats are like, through the roof. And then he's still got like Mudsdale, Bravery, Passimian. Like his lower like point mons are like his physical attackers, but they'll have 120 plus like attack. You can't really like ignore that.
That's like the reason I don't have this on number 1, and I had it like lower. It was because I think his team's a little too special heavy. That means you are to either forced to run Braviary, Pessimian, Mudsdale, or even Sneasel like every week, which isn't terrible because they're good mons.
Yeah.
But I think a good Assault Vest user does, I don't want to say shut down this team, but really limits its offensive potential.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can get past that, then this team's just amazing straight up. But that was my nitpick of this team.
Yeah, it's probably like a pretty like matchup dependent team. If you can shut down his first few mons, then you could probably like have an easy time. But as long as he's able to bring and utilize like his threats, he can be doing well.
Right on. Well, we are currently 50 minutes into this recording, and we have one team left. Hope you guys have enjoyed these power rankings so far. Hopefully me and Zayne's synergy is good for you guys. I don't know. I think we sound pretty cool together.
Okay, that makes one of us.
Okay, God damn it. Well, this last team, we both ranked in our top 2 at least. This was my favorite team, and there's no bias because this guy is my captain for my Unite team. No bias at all. No gun points.
I was going to make Unite jokes about him.
But what we thought was the best team in the single strike division is the Charlotte Chandelures, coached by Shadow Stitch. This is a sand team. I guess we'll start. I don't want to talk about the other division too much, but I think this team is really well built around Mew, which I think is really crucial to having Mew on your team, is how do you force it into certain roles. And I think this team does a really good job at not letting Mew being forced into a role. Mew, it looks very unpredictable on this team, and that's just the beginning. There's a whole sand core, which is also something you have to prep for. Really solid defensive core with Moltres, Tangrowth, and even Azumarill and Hydra to a lesser extent. Good dark type to pair with Mew, so its weaknesses aren't as, Ghost and Dark isn't really as much of an issue. Scolipede, an underrated threat. It's just, I like almost everything about this team, straight up.
Yeah, it's I guess it's probably technically a top heavy team because he's got like his main mons are all like above 10 points, and there's just a random Hitmonchan and a Molga. But yeah, the team's just like, it looks extremely hard to break. Like Hippo, Azumarill, Tangrowth, really annoying. Potent offense, just Hydreigon, and that I think he's missing a little bit of like built-in special attack. It's relying on Hydreigon a lot, but of course you have like Nasty Plot Mew.
Yep.
And I think the only thing that like for me when I had this team in second was I think the speed tiers are still a little bit iffy. I mean, you have Scolipede there, and then you have speed control with Sand, Excadrill, but like that's a lot of like physical offense, and mons that like kind of struggle against like certain flying types. They both get Rock Slide at least.
That's a good point.
And then you have like Mew and Hydreigon right next to each other, and then there's a bit of a gap after Excadrill. So it's like not like bad. It's just like it's just a slight
nitpick,
unideal, thing that. But like this team's got like kind of everything it needs. I think you have like 12 rockers. Mew has every hazard in the game. Scolipede has both spikes.
Yeah, I think the only nitpick I have with this team, the only one I can see that's prevalent is a freeze dry, not ice beam. A freeze dry user plus like water move does kind of run through this team a little bit, but that's defensively, because again the offensive options you have are so good here, and you can play to that, you can play around that with your offense because you're not limited to like almost anything really. So that's just the big plus for that I keep hammering on about with this team. Really that's solid team. Again, a little top heavy, I agree with that, but it's not in any, not in a bad way. Not a bad way.
It's well rounded,
and yeah, that's our number 1 team. And that is the single strike power rankings post grace period draft. These are good teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Knott's team is like kind of goofy. His is like the only team that I actually like be like kind of roast him on and be like, this team's kind of bad. But like honestly, from after that, like 15 onwards was just like it's more about justifying where we place it rather than actually being like, this team's not that great.
Right. And even
they're all pretty.
Yeah, and even for me, even though I also put not to 16, I was the one who actually had to prep for it, and it was a lot scarier than it looked on paper. So we'll say that.
There's like you match up against it, and you're like, oh well, I just don't have switch-ins. Like,
yeah,
what do you do?
But yeah, that was our UPBA Season 4 Single Strike Power Rankings. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Ran pretty long, but you know, Zayne is a god at power rankings, so his presence for 55 minutes is more like a blessing than anything. So hope you guys enjoyed that.
I feel like that's pretty standard for 16 teams.
Yeah.
Each got like 4 to 5 minutes.
But hopefully you guys look forward to the Rapid Strike power rankings and all the other videos that will be uploaded to this channel. So like, subscribe, support all the coaches. Everyone's link will be in the description below. Say bye, Zayne.
See you guys.
And I'll see you guys in the next
Drained.
video.